Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode. The title is Multidimensional Preparations for the Interstellar Era, or you can consider it as the Interstellar Age. In the subtitle, in the description, I have written the importance of human beauty, and I feel that word, beauty, is going to become, and right now the word is fluffy, but I feel in the future it will become the ultimate aim of human life. It will no longer, advancement would be you can say a beautiful use of human intelligence. But really, before I get into the aftermath of the human evolution, and of course I'm just one person sharing my views on this, first thing I gotta share a story that when I was a kid, 7 years old, 8 years old, I have a twin brother, and me and my twin brother would stay at my grandmother's house. And anytime my grandmother wanted me and my brother to eat, like we were kids that were running around all over the place and mischievous, but anytime she wanted us to eat the food, she would prepare food and she would tell us this food is beautiful. She wouldn't say it tastes good. She wouldn't say it's what kind of food it is. She would just say this food is beautiful, and just exactly like that, this food is beautiful. And me and my brother, like this 6-7-year-old kids, we're like, yeah, beautiful food, like for us the word would animate, would give us the proper emotion. That means chefs don't realize it, but the introduction to whatever is important. And I didn't notice what my grandmother was doing, what she was saying, until years later, until I realized that beauty is seen. Beauty is an extraction from the moment. That means at any moment can be ugly, any moment can be beautiful, in the sense that beauty is a choice. Someone has to look at a beautiful sunset. And when I say beauty, I'm not talking about just outer realm beauty. Outer realm beauty is conditional. Outer realm beauty is, as one ages, it changes. But inner realm beauty means how you're opening your eyes to the world and to yourself. So that was the point about beauty I wanted to share. That anything can be beautiful. This Tim Hortons coffee cup in front of me that's half full, and the coffee's warm. This is beautiful, especially when I think about the absence. When I think about all the things in my life and how they could also not be there, there is a beauty, just innate beauty to it. Okay, now to the main topic at hand, the interstellar era, and what does that even mean? First, I have to share something called the Kardashev skill to kind of relate it to ideas that are going around now. Then I'll dive into my view. Kardashev skill. Let me find a picture for the audience here. Kardashev skill. The Kardashev skill is suggesting the evolution of our civilization. Come on, Google Images. Pretty much 3 stages where, one, we have planetary control. Imagine a civilized species wants to attain control of its environment, right? So a person first takes care of, let's say, their physical or their biological body, then their environment, their physical environment. After caring of their physical self and their physical world, then they go towards the non-physical self and the non-physical world and whatnot. So similarly, we in the dimensions that we find ourselves, we attain mastery and we move beyond. So in the 3 types, a type 1 civilization where's the thing? So, sorry guys, hold on. I want to share with an accurate. There we go. Perfect. The Kardashev skill. Perfect picture. Here we go. So if people can look at the page, look at the picture of this episode, I'm gonna put the Kardashev skill. Come on. There we go. This is the Kardashev skill. If people look at it, right? A Type 1 civilization is capable of exploiting the energy output of an entire planet. A Type 2 civilization is capable of exploiting the energy output of an entire star. A Type 3 civilization is capable of exploiting the energy output of an entire galaxy. That means right now we're using energy. On a human level, we're using you can say in the manner of speech here that we're exploiting the energy output of a human biological body. And based on what this body does, it becomes more. So anyways, a civilization that is in control of the energy of its planet, the energy of its solar system, and the energy of its galaxy. You know? So that's the Kardashev skill. Especially after Type 1. After Type 1 is complete, I would say that we become interstellar. That means the moment we are done playing with our planet, we will go play with our solar system. When we're done playing and in some sense playing kingdom games with our solar system, we will go towards the galaxy. Really, when we think about human evolution, either we remain in the biological position we continue, believe it or not, the human biological story ad infinitum, or we transition. We shift and we transcend our humanity, whether through digital means or energetic means. So that was the Kardashev skill. Now I'm going to share my personal view on what I feel is going to happen. Kardashev skill is really after our interstellar era, right after a Type 1 civilization, we become Type 2. But right now we're in a Type 1 civilization based on the Kardashev skill, and so the model I will say is about what I feel is going to happen to the global, what's going to happen to cultures globally. There's something important. As technology advances and new technologies arise, our behavior changes. That means we don't seem to notice that it was at first just nature. Human beings had invented nothing. There was not even language at the beginning. You know, it was just engagements of whatever was in nature. But now we have reached a time where I would say we are getting influenced by stuff we created from nature and then put back into nature. So our technology is how man is changing himself. You know, prior to man's technology, it was nature. Earth was changing man. Just like a young child, very young child, the parents are teaching the young child how to clean the room. You know, it's as if Mother Earth, it's as if taught the human being to become responsible, taught the species to become responsible for itself. We took the first baby step of identifying as form. Then the second baby step of identifying as the subject. Yeah. We're just taking baby steps, even though we've been around for this human existence has been 4.5 billion years in the making, or the efforts towards it. So that's the Kardashev skill. I'm gonna put it down here underneath the arm of this, I don't know, celestial universal being. That means if we told this creature in the wallpaper, hey, we're a Type 3 civilization, the creature's gonna laugh, you know. So share my view now, Mr. Within's view. I would say this. I feel right now there's been phases. Now, call this evolution or not. I feel it's directly involved with our evolution, but you can see it in whatever way. We have gone through phases. First, it was mobility as an object. Mobility as a singular object. Okay? This is where we're still at, right? Where we are mobilizing the human body. That means we mobilized as an object. We're still experiencing singular objecthood. Right now, I don't experience my biological body. I have one mind space, and in this mind space, there's one biological body, right? But now we imagine there was in the future, we get to a point where it's like the mind becomes more unconditional. René Descartes was right about the mind-body dualism, and we suddenly see it doesn't matter how many bodies the mind has, the mind is still a space. That means right now, as beings, we can consider that we have the responsibility, we have the ability to respond through one format, one biological format. Now, take this. Right now, we have opened up in this modern times to the cyberspace age, where kind of people don't realize it, but all these people posting cat videos and random social media statuses, you know, status updates. We don't realize this, but this is pioneering our coexistence, our co-inhabitation of the cyber realm. That means right now I am existing with an identity as just me, how I was born, like and named as a person. My real name is Amin. And when it comes to online, I have the simultaneous online alias of Mr. Within, for example. So just like how a person can have two names, let's say we have a first name, last name, some people have a middle name, you know, it's as if three different terms, you know, three different linguistic bodies for one mind. Now, we don't have that same freedom with our body. We're so comfortable using different words, but we're not comfortable being in different bodies, and it's not that we can for now, right? But imagine if your body, your biological body changed as instantly as words change, their subjects changed. A person can instantly change their attention. They can think of the past and an historic event, and they could suddenly think of the future, or they could think of something else that happened. So when it comes to our mind and psychology, it changes instantly. But when it comes to our body, the change is intense, is too much. You know, it's just fascinating. We human beings, of course, are scared. This is natural. Even in Freud's work, what was it? The future of an illusion, or the future of an illusion. He speaks about how as long as human beings fear death, they will engage the abstract, right? And we can say fear is an abstraction, a potential abstraction of a reality, which the attention doesn't see. So what I'm saying is, people go to sleep every night and they have no problem. We have no problem sleeping and suddenly exiting the conscious waking state where we are a subject mobilized first with the conditions of a body. So what I'm saying is that in deep sleep, there is no experience, but there is existence, and there is nothing to fear in deep sleep. Gandhi went as far as to even say that every day he woke up, he was like a new being. Can you imagine living like that? Where it's as if every day you wake up, you're born again. You're not born again in a certain ideology, you know, or through moisture rituals. You're in some sense awakened as the moment, as a new moment. So like my biological body, tomorrow I'm going to wake up, it's going to be like my biological body, but when the mind wakes up tomorrow, it's going to have the novelty of like, what now? So when we come to the now, that's the birth, that's the living place of novelty, believe it or not. That means only in the present, the past and future are simultaneous. In the future, the past is not there. In the past, the future is not there. Only in the present, the common denominator. As if we even drew a Venn diagram, imagine like only two circles of the Olympics logo. So in those two circles, the middle area between those two circles is the present. And so we can say the future, this is a concept where I would say it's going to start a huge wave in philosophy, but is the future another dimension? Not just the progression of something in a dimension. You see, we have this view that we grow, but what if dimensions grow? So, all of this I'm saying just to say that at the same way we use language multidimensionally, we can use ourself multidimensionally. Right now we have an ability to be a space, a mind space, and just one biological body. I feel in the future what's going to happen is we're going to experience multi-local bodies, but not biologically. That means it's either going to go through the clone pathway or it's going to go through the android pathway. The cyberspace. Three pathways. That means multi-locality of biological, or I shouldn't say biological, physical bodyhood can have three pathways, where it's as if like the person, imagine there's a cloning technology in the future, and when they clone the person's mind is connected to their clone. Imagine. So imagine in the future there's like 7 clones of the person, and the person's mind can transition into any one of the clones. That means if one of the clones dies, the other clones are keeping it alive, for example. So that could be a sort of multi-locality if the mind is somehow biologically, or I don't know, not biologically, but through some sort of wave technology maintained in all the bodies. That means that would be a point where we have actually understood the soul to the practicality of material technology, which is, I feel this one's unlikely. Cloning technology at most is just going to get weird, and probably it's going to freak out some human beings, and then it's going to get stopped. Let me tell you why. Because it's dabbling with human nature, and no human being can dabble with human nature in the outer realms and not get scarred. Let me tell you, there is something that you got to preserve nature's ways if you want to remain natural. The more unnatural the human being is, the more there is a dissension of the psyche. And what that means is if we stop acting human, we may soon not be human. You know? This is why I'm saying in this time where we are moving into the era of advanced communication after 2020, from the era of language and idea worship, it's as if it's a state where there must be freedom. That means people should not be looking for freedom. You should already be free in a world that you're in once. Right? This doesn't mean that the outer realms is going to update quickly. This doesn't mean that the people are going to suddenly become understanding and going to understand anything. It just means that it's like on some level, yes, it is a human game with a group of human beings, like a human classroom where there's 8 billion students in it. And on another angle, it is just the student's relationship with the universe. That means there's a reliance on various archetypes to exist in multiple locations. And so what I mean by that is in multiple hierarchies. So the person has an identity when they are, let's say, I don't know, talking in front of like a global audience. And the person has an identity when they're talking in a specific cultural audience. You know, then the person has an identity when they're speaking to their close family and friends. You know, then the person has a different identity when they are alone. Then the person has an identity where their mind, their intelligence of the moment has been like, okay, I'm here once, what am I? And that what am I takes the person to noticing how they are being a thought. And the interesting thing is we are not thoughts, but we watch them come and go. And we have been from the beginning. We are not thoughts. That's the biggest delusion of our species. That's descending our ability. I shouldn't say descending. That's prohibiting our ability to be multidimensional. So many systems that are like kind of do or die, or like extreme systems. It's like the only reason the systems become extreme is because they haven't given themselves the freedom to be multidimensional. You know what that means is it's like choosing between two presidents, but you like some policies from that president, you know, that candidate, and you like policies from the other candidate. And at some point, people are like, why are we playing Shakespearean theatrics? Why not have the whole nation focus on the policies rather than the personalities? You see, eventually AI, we have this idea that in the future, technology is going to replace human work. That means people are working now, so that means business owners, employers are like, okay, you know, I'm going to get this person with this skill, that skill, this skill. But in the future, if there is robots doing or having the capacity to equal the skill, a robot doesn't care. A robot is just electric bill. So if in the future robots can do what human beings are doing now, employers would just be like, I just have to pay for one giant electric bill and my company is going to run 24/7 with these robots in it. So automation is going to come and replace a lot of physical human behavior in the future, right? Now imagine automation comes and replaces the positions that human personalities occupy. That means in the future, the government is going to be, imagine AI, like a super intelligent computer, and human beings, the human president is like the ambassador of humanity working alongside AI, you know? This world is, it can become an incredibly multidimensional place, and I feel it is, whatever. I feel I'm an early bird talking about this, but really it's where we're heading. Where else can a being in a limited definition of a dimension be? For how long can you remain in the box? At some point, Schrodinger's cat is going to get thirsty. So, to ground this a little bit, we mobilize as an object, and then we mobilized as a subject. Now we're going to become one singular higher dimensional subject in a manner of speech, and then what's going to happen is the same relationship that a mind has with the body, the unknown is going to have with the subjective self. So that means when I ask myself, whose body is this that I am in? For example, just as a manner of speech, I'm saying that you know, that means it's just energy here. But I'm saying like, whose body is this when I ask that myself? And the answer is it's mine. It's a means, you know. Then I ask, whose idea is a mean? That means my identity, my own identity. I'm wondering like who owns the identity that owns everything. You know, that means I'm looking at this coffee cup in front of me. I say this coffee cup belongs to me, but who does the idea of me belong to? And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's not a who, it's an event. We feel we are creatures. This makes us individual first, then collective. But if we go on into realizing that the individual, it's like the tip of an iceberg, but the iceberg and the water are like the same substantial. We must not fear the beyond, or we have died before we have lived. That is the truth of it, really. And the thing is, I'll never forget, it's like some truths are just behavioral. I remember seeing a person who somebody came and told him, the person was sitting in a park, and I'll just say it was Christopher Hitchens in a video where he was sitting in a park, and Christopher Hitchens is an incredible speaker, and he's there, and this random person comes, probably from the news company or whatever, comes and tells him, hey, you shouldn't be here, you're making people upset, get out of here. You know, as if the guy's speaking for everybody. Then Christopher Hitchens looks at him and says, who the hell are you? You know? You know, who are you? That means it's as if somebody came up to him and said, hey, who are you? And he's like, hey, who are you? You know? So he countered the question with the same question. Sometimes a mirror is better than a shield. Or a mirror is a shield. I can't tell you how many moments of my life where there has been intensity and I've literally mirrored the moment. It's as if it was a sort of karmic self-defense. Where it's as if I'm like, okay, the moment has chosen to get this intense. That means something in the moment has allowed the intensity to rise. Right? So then the intensity must be responded to at times with intensity if it's allowed or not. But it doesn't mean violence. You know, violence is like, here's the thing, a person who's not truly deep down violent, even if they get violent, they can't get to the violence. That means, anyways, whatever. Let's keep going with this. There's actually so much to say for this episode. It's ridiculous. So different phases. I'm just saying we were an object. We became mobile in an object in a singular way. Then we became mobile as a subject in a singular way. Now we have become mobile and as a subject in a collective way. This is all group psychology, the tolerance for group psychology. That means our minds can be one moment more easily than our physical bodies as human beings can live on the same planet. So pretty much there's a singular angle and multidimensional angle to every phase of our evolution. Now, just to say it out, these are the phases I consider. First, it was a silent body language. Yeah, let me go like this way. There was a phase where we were communicating as just bodies. Then we have language, literal language. This is where it's one of our greatest technologies. That means it's like when a human being sees, like even if a human being sees another human being, for example, stutter or be shy or can't even speak, but just attempts the speech, the attempt should be honored. You see, human beings, there's choices that any human being that makes a new choice should be honored to some degree. It's as if the heart has freed the future from the past's expectation. So, a physical, the body, then we had actual language, subjecthood, the subjective evolution take place. Now, I feel these are the phases we're going to go through. Okay, so right now we're like somehow evolution made an object become a subject to itself. The next phase is geometry. Human, right now, even in the cultural program, I see it. Before we get to the Interstellar, before we start naming our children after stars, or naming our cities after stars, after constellations or whatever, before we get to a point where you can say universal or galactic or celestial archetypes become culturally integrated, there's going to be a geometrical renaissance. That means if this geometrical renaissance doesn't take place, it makes no sense why so many systems in this current world have evolved. That means the thing about communication is that it requires a platform, it requires a space. That means a pilot requires a runaway. a runway. A pilot requires a runway, you know, to fly, to lift off. Runaway. Oh my god. And so this pilot, every human being is a pilot. The future generations are going to be pilots, and so we are here to build the airports for them, to build the runways for them, and that runway requires that geometrical renaissance that I'm speaking. So from the normality of where we are in 2020, there's going to be an evolution of general language, which is like the code for human beings. That means, let's say AI opened its eyes and we're like, AI, super intelligent computer, you're our child, right? And the AI is like, let me double check, let me see if I'm really the child of humanity. And the AI comes and looks and he's like, okay, so I work based on a program. Do human beings work on a program? And the AI is like, yeah, they have literal language in their heads, right? So human life is like a story. It's a story we tell ourselves, and the world is a story we don't know yet. And the whole mind's activity and the journey and the whole synchronization of the inner realms and outer realms is to realize what is in front of your eyes and what is behind your eyes and how they are both here. You see, some people, you can say in the outer realms, be here and now, and the guy's like, I've been always here and now. What are you saying, man? You know. But in the inner realms, when you tell someone to be in the here and now, that means from all inner events, like applications open on the phone, one by one, the person detaches the attention to the thought form. What I mean by that is, it's not like you're trying to not have thoughts. It's just that if you realize you're not a thought, you become the watcher of the moment. And when that unknown, when the watcher, the being that's like the attention that's looking out through the eyes of the person, really notices the unknown, it relaxes. When the mind notices that it can project any story and yet the inevitable void is at the aftermath, then you become true with yourself. That means you can't notice truth if you're not being true. And being true in an age where there's a technological diversion of attention is being natural. That means we might not be fighting with robots in the street, but technology is really slowly pulling the rug of human behavior, natural human behavior, from underneath our feet as a species. So there is things to be cautious there. So right now we go to there's going to be a geometrical renaissance in communication. Then we're going to go into the I would say cyberspace phase of our evolution. So from, let's say, from just regular language to a geometrical mode of being, then from the geometrical contentment we find in our psychologies, we will go on to cyberspace. From cyberspace, there is a potential that we might get too caught into cyberspace or too bored of it, and eventually we're going to come back in the outer realm. So imagine we find a cave in another dimension, which cyberspace could be said to be something similar. You know, it has literally feeling-wise the same value, right? So it's escapism of reality into a sub-reality generated inside the first reality. So it's as if like human beings are dreaming reality, and then inside that dream they create another dream, and inside that dream they create the potential to dream again. So right now the common man will advance communication towards the geometrical age, the geometrical era. Beyond that, the cyberspace era, this would be multiple bodyhood. That means the geometrical era is when human beings realize that they can identify with not just human shape in the inner realms. In the inner realms, it doesn't matter if you are, the idea can change all the time. The person can feel like, you know, they are nothing. They can suddenly feel there's something, you know. So these are in the inner realms. There's constant, the weather changes quicker than the outer realms. And just the mere ability to observe how your mind is happening is it's like, think of it this way. If we wanted to train human beings to go into cyberspace, we have to train human beings first to be able to close their eyes and be able to move in the inner landscapes. The body gives a certain amount of energy, so energy has to be used to receive. That means it's as if the body is the antenna and the mind is the reception of the signal, right? So the body has to be capable enough to have the access to the antenna range, and once the antenna range is there, the body has to be just kept. You know, it's as if, like, sometimes when you see these yogis go to samadhi, you know what it's like? It's it's as if the person has chosen to continue being alive, not just local through the senses. There's some yogis that they literally treated their biological existence like the patio to the supremacy of consciousness behind their eyes. They're like, okay, it's as if being a manifest individual being is like you're in the patio of truth, you know? Or the porch of truth. You're standing there, you're still in the space of truth, but you're getting to see the outside. The most advanced view we can have of biological existence, if we choose to keep alive the mystery of how communication is beyond the senses, or can come from beyond the senses. I would say there are mysteries that we can do nothing about to discover. We can only realize through being first. And the biggest suggestion of even karmic turbulence in any human life is that they haven't noticed how they are being while they're doing something. You know? And this is not something easy. I'm telling you, the body is habitual. For example, me personally, I'm a smoker. And this is like it is literally like the body, how do I say it? It's as if the body has a memory, but its memory is habit. It's as if muscle memory, but for the whole body's muscles, you know, like for the whole moment, the way the moment is lived. Anyways, attention can move beyond its expectations. Okay, let me find a more jolly song. Okay, there we go. This song I'm playing in the background, guys. I don't know if all the viewers can. Yeah, they can hear. This song, you don't know how many years of my life, and especially when I gave these talks where I was in this kind of solitude with the universe, and this song was like a comrade. Anyways. From cyberspace, we will go on to the Mecha age, the Mecha era. All of these, the cyberspace and the Mecha era, they require a complete phase of joyous experience with geometry. That means geometry is going to be good karma for the planet. The more geometry advances, just our comprehension of it. I will tell you, and people can write in the comment section, in the chat section, if this is the case. I don't know, it's just, let's say for now it's a feeling, but I feel it's happening, that the mind generates. It's as if the mind doesn't do anything new, it creates itself anew, you know? Either you are the same, in the same I thought, same modality, and you do something new in the same dimension, or you change dimensions and then everything is new, you know? It's like that view of you can't beat them, join them. The moment the person joins them, it's like all the variables change. The whole value system, the grid, the spectrum of belief grabbing even changes. So, a geometrical renaissance, then we open up to cyberspace. When we open up to cyberspace, by the way, this is going to be a very strange phase where children of the cyberspace era, maybe if there's corruption in cyberspace, imagine children, future philosophers born not being like, you know, is life a dream? Is there God, or is there no God, or is there personality beyond the senses, or no personality beyond the senses? Like during the cyberspace age, philosophers will be like, is the world digital or is it not? That means right now it's to be or not to be, kind of Shakespearean, Shakespearean vibe. But I would say in the cyberspace era, it would be to be digital or not to be. That's what it would be. To be digital or not to be digital. To digitize or not to digitize. There we go. To digitize or not to digitize. I mean, digitize, I guess. Digitalize. There we go. To digitalize or not. You know, to digitalize or not. Oh, man. In cyberspace, history will be relived. You know, when the cyberspace era comes, that will be a point where history can be accessed. We will be able to simulate historic moments. That means, can you imagine in the future, I said this in one of my talks, and also it's part of the science fiction that I write. Imagine in the future, children, first of all, the mode of transport has become jetpacks, that these jetpacks have sound. That means they don't burn your back. Like if you know, like if you had a jetpack, like a backpack behind you, it wouldn't like burn your feet, you know, if you made a mistake or something. It would just be through sound. Okay, so imagine there's jet sound, like safe sound jetpacks, where the moment they fly, it's not even like fuel burst sound. It's like opera music or whatever kind of theme you choose for your jetpack. Okay, so I'm saying, imagine in the future, there's a giant school, and children had to, like now, children have to go to like school buses, and then they gotta go get, they need a mode of transport to get to school. In the future, the school's gonna be hovering above the neighborhood, and the school's gonna pass over every house of the neighborhood, and kids with jetpacks are just gonna jump out of their windows and go to school. You know, now when they go into this futuristic school that I've envisioned, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a cyberspace choice. You know how they're giving, there's freedom for the student to wear any clothing they want in the public schooling system. So just like there's that freedom to wear that freedom to wear anything, imagine in the future there's going to be a freedom to see whatever cyberspace version of the school you want. So imagine the whole school likes Harry Potter somehow still, even though this is the future. And so in the moment that children get into the school, they just have put on these glasses or something, and the school becomes Hogwarts, literally, because that's the power of cyberspace. Cyberspace is the convenience of our psychology. You see, it's kind of like the wall of the room of the person. Like right now, I'm seeing this wall in front of me. This wall is literally an image to me unless I touch it. Right? So it doesn't matter if cyberspace can overlay a lens of image. So that means in the future you could be in just like an empty house, but you could put on cyberspace goggles and the house is going to be filled with them. You'll be rich in cyberspace, but maybe not in reality. So there needs to be something a backup systems made for the future. Everything I'm saying right now, I'm seeing in the future it's going to happen. All right, because the potential, we can see it now. You know, it's like you can see a person use a hammer to, for example, like, I don't know, hit a nail in, and then you can see in the future, I don't know, we can create hammers that are, I don't know, breaking asteroids, like, you know, before they, you know what I mean? The idea can be seen in one modality, and then the design, the geometry of the idea itself, the design of the idea itself can fractalize. You can see it in macro models. Now keep in mind, I haven't gotten to the Interstellar yet. So we need to master geometry as a species. We need to master multilocality through the geometry replicated in cyberspace. Then from our experience and contentment with cyberspace, enter the outer realms with a co-psychological inhabitation with machine. So the mecha age means where machine becomes man's best friend. Now the mecha age can come sooner, but I feel the cyberspace has to activate before the mecha age can truly be actualized. What that means is we need to have for eons, like not for eons, but we need to have for a long time after the cyberspace era activates, where people are, their brains are connected to just one collective digital mind. So in that, we need to get comfortable with our simultaneous existence in multiple modalities. What that means is cyberspace is going to allow one person in one lifetime to actually experience multiple lifetimes in one lifetime. What that means is I, for example, search a video of the Netherlands. Like that's somewhere where I hope to live one day. So I imagine I search on YouTube a video of the Netherlands, and there's some dude who's made a video of the Netherlands and he's showing how life is there, you know, on YouTube. And imagine in the future what the cyberspace era is going to allow is the person instantly being able to go there. That means it would be, you can say, teleportation of desire. That means it's as if we were going to our desires, walking to them, trying to get them. In the future, our desires are going to come to us before we move to them, right? Which means the actualization of cyberspace and reality. That means digital and real are becoming they're becoming synonyms as time goes forth, you know? So these are all building the psychology which is going to make us ready to be interstellar. The mecha age, where machine becomes man's best friend, we are not going to be man. We're probably going to have two identities. That means right now a person feels they are one human being in a part of humanity. We feel like we're one drop in an ocean of human intelligence. But I will say in the future we're going to feel like the ocean and the drop. So right now it's like how Kabir, this mystic, I mean, some yogis were so ahead of their time. Kabir, he has this quote. Let me see what it was exactly. He says, many know that the drop merges into the ocean, but few know that the ocean too merges in the drop. That means the individual feels it's only climbing the mountain. It doesn't know the mountain peak is climbing towards the individual. You see, that's the power of, I would say, unconditional grace, which means it has nothing to do with the object and subject. There is a breath to this living earth that moves on its own. You know, I don't think about my heart beating right now. I don't plan for years, how am I gonna, you know, tell my heart to beat. You know, it's like the heart beats instantly, and there's an instant trust with the biological body, so it's all automated. So we have actually an incredible trust with the automated, you know, because our body is like that. The person doesn't think about, they don't, you know, you don't plan years ahead to just move your hand. The being instantly moves their hand, you know. So Sorry guys, this was on mute and I was talking and I don't know how many minutes the audience has missed. But anyways. Even from the secularly embraced Kardashev scale, the importance is we're just advancing the realm. Now we can say it doesn't matter what kind of inner realm content there is. It's all about the management of content in the outer realms. That means what a person like thinks about when they're taking a shower and singing like they're on some talent show stage. That person is like, that inner realm content has nothing to do with the world. It doesn't need to be managed by the outer realms. But the content of the mind that leads to human behavior that is visible in the outer realms means that we have to care for how we are being a character in the general video game of life, right? That means many people know this, that if you don't have rules, if you don't have laws, you can't play a game. Many people like sports, they love sports, but then when it comes to society, they're like, yeah, change the rules, what is law? But without the law is the outline of civilization. And the decency, how well it is written. In the future, law could become code. There's no such thing as writing laws. It's like we coded laws into the cyberspace mind, Can you imagine in the future, in the cyberspace age, you're like, hey, a new law is coming out, like a new patch to the possibility of movement in that realm. We must be so advanced. That means this is the advanced civilization that Mr. Within envisions. A civilization so advanced that we could communicate with beings like this in the wallpaper. You guys are joking. Was it mute for 37 minutes? No way. That's tragic. That is so tragic. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let me see in what way I can scream in my inner realms. Oh my god, shit. 37 minutes. Wow. Alright guys, quick intermission. I gotta figure out how much was Wow. 37 minutes. And it's incredible how I totally get it now. I totally get the value, how these talks are going on. So it's impossible to recap. Yeah, it's impossible to recap. Hang on, guys. Let me see what I can. Okay, so an apology to the listeners. I had no idea this was on mute. I was under the impression this was all being recorded, and I was going all out, and it was like, I said the rarest things I think I've ever said. But anyways, I'm gonna end this part 1 was defeated in battle. And so there's gonna be a part 2 to this, and I gotta start from the beginning to recap.